So hello again everybody, my name is John D. Healy. I do a podcast, it's called It's Good to Talk, and it sure is good to talk. Some people know me because I produced a book. My good friend Stoney McGurn. Stoney was born in 1941, his stories from his life story all the way up to a few years ago. Some are naughty, and be careful to buy the book on Amazon before it's banned. A lot of history and a lot of good stuff in it. It's also on audio, and you can also get it on this podcast. My sponsors are Liffey Van Lines, moving company here in New York City, and they've been around longer than Jeopardy. When it comes to moving, let Liffey do the lifting. Today I'm coming to you from, actually, would you believe it, Ryan's daughter on the Upper East Side, because I have a special guest coming up soon to do some music for us and some tunes. We're in the green room in Ryan's daughter. I've been here before for art shows numerous years ago with good friends Nancy Purnell and Ernie Savage himself, among others. A lot of local artists, Walter DeForest, a lot of local artists in the neighbourhood. Ryan's daughter does a lot of good work in the Upper East Side for the community. So do I, but we all help each other out. So I'm glad I was able to get that space today. This is a nice space, a nice studio, and it's available for local parties and private parties. And even if you want to practice a podcast or even practice some music, it's available. So let me see what I've talked to you about today. Well, the music passed. We did lose Shane McGowan, and I did a nice podcast there with Paddy McCarthy. Paddy is the editor of the Irish Examiner USA. I strongly recommend you get that paper online, Irish Examiner USA, and you can get it online. Paddy will fill you in on all the music events coming up in the future, and there's a lot of stuff coming up in the new year. That's Paddy McCarthy. So we did lose Shane McGowan. We lost Sinead O'Connor, Christy Dignan, Tony Bennett passed away. But I do promise you I have someone coming up in a few minutes. Stay with me. So some good news, some promotions that were on my podcast. Headhunted was, believe it or not, the guy that promoted the Driscoll's Whiskey. Graham Hawkins was headhunted. He's gone on to bigger and better things. Philip Habib was headhunted and went on to bigger and better things. There are other movements happening in the neighbourhood too. I don't want to be a man for gossip, although gossip is fun to talk about and have fun in the neighbourhood. But a lot happening on the Upper East Side. Some birthdays coming up in January. Tony King of Finnegan's Wake has a birthday coming up. I'm not going to tell you how old he will be in January, but he's a year older than he was last year. And that's a big birthday for Tony King. Wish him well. He's in good health and good shape and good fittle. Kieran McAndrew from Liffey Van Lines has a birthday coming up soon. He's actually in good shape too. He is married to a lovely wife. They have 2 kids and they're doing well. And another guy I had on the podcast, Michael D. McAndrew, and that would be, of course, my nephew. And I interviewed him about sports and everything like sports and Irish sports. But wait till you hear it. He's opening a bar near Killala, between Killala and Ballina in County Mayo. His wife and himself are opening a bar. It's called Bessie's. It's near the Seaside Scenic. And they have a baby, 1 year old too. So lots of good news coming up. In the neighbourhood where I am today, here at Ryan's daughter, a lot of celebs live in this block. Adam Cardona, you know, he was on the massage therapist guy, sports massage, medical massage. He actually lives close to here, but his clinic is on Park Avenue, 57th Street. And he always says a gift voucher is a good idea if you're stuck for a last minute gift for the new year, for your friends or whatever, an occasion and all the such like that. So what other news have I for you coming up? Well, in the year ahead, I do have a lot of guests coming up to be interviewed. Ernie Savage will be with you shortly. I have him on waiting on standby here, and it's a busy time of the year for standby if you know airports. So other guests coming up in the new year, I do have Brian Hogan coming up. That's a podcast about rescue dogs. Now, I'm looking forward to that podcast. It's important. Michael Moran is the real estate guy in the neighbourhood here. But I'm going to have him on talking about electric cars. Electric cars are very, very important, I think, coming up in the future, because we can't ignore the future. It's going to happen anyways. So what other news have I for you in terms, well, Michael Moran will be talking about electric cars. I did make predictions last January. I remember last January I told you that the price of oil was going to come down significantly, and it did. Now the gallon of oil, or the barrel of oil, is almost only $70 a barrel. And next year, here's my prediction, it will be getting closer to $60 a barrel. Hence, inflation, I told you last year, was 8%. Now it's getting closer to 3%. I did explain to John Paul already that inflation would come down and we will not have a recession. Next year, inflation comes down and no recession. So that's some of the good news. I'm getting Ernie Savage lined up with 2 instruments and his voice, and he will entertain you on from here. So I want to wish everybody, you, all my good listeners, all the best wishes coming into the new year, 2024. It will be a good year, but you got to be good too. Number 1, you got to be good to yourself, and number 2, you got to be good to others. So hang in there for Ernie, and I want Ernie to join me shortly. He's going to sing for you some good songs, some great songs, and go back to that old podcast where I interviewed me before. A few other podcasts worth going back over. Christopher Roselli, remember Christopher? Roselli, the insurance guy. He explained a lot about insurance and how important it is to have renter's insurance. Believe me, I know, because the burnt child fears the fire. Cybersecurity, a good one to listen to too. So tune into the old ones. I will have a website coming up in January too. So next year is going to be a good year. January is going to be a good month, but the whole year will be good. And here comes Ernie.
Thank you so much, John Healy. Christmas comes but once a year, and when it does, it brings good cheer. A season of goodwill and fun. And yet while most of us are festive, the Grinch is out there to all get restive and spoil it all for everyone. Though it's too much to expect you to be nice, you'll find that life is easier with his advice. Try not to be a cunt, it's Christmas. Take a tip from Santa's elf. The rest of us are doing our best to be jolly. Don't go looking like you've swallowed a bunch of holly. Don't shout at carol singers and tell them to stop. Don't buy your presents from the Goodwill shop. Ah, for fuck's sake, be merry. Have another sherry. And try not to be a punk, 'cause Santa's coming. Try not to be a punk. Look, there's a reindeer. Try not to be a cunt. C-U-N-T, cuntity, cuntity, cunt. Here's another one that you may have heard before. Okay. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing in a sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Christmas comes but once a year, and when it does, it brings good cheer. A season of goodwill and fun. And yet while most of us are festive, the Grinch is out